Alright people, welcome to the Sunday stream here on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty. Happy Socialist Sunday everybody. How you doing tonight? We've got Octo, Flowsnake, FSM is the dog, Jacqueline. Great to see you. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, I do use the term Antifa in the title, anti-fascist. I think it's something the right tried to appropriate and sort of imply that it is an organisation, specifically when it's not. It just generally, well at least to me, means anti-fascist. So yeah, that's going to be coming up on the show. Big counter-protest, whichever you'd prefer to call it, against the far right. Stephen Yaxley-Lennon's mob, which was full of Zionists as well. But a tremendous turnout to stand up to that, as always. Yeah, lots more to come on the show as well. Got a comedy clip or two or three lined up. Checking on the latest stories as well. Yeah, hope you like this Trump meme, the latest Trump meme up on the screen. I've seen that going around quite a bit. Sorry I can't credit the original poster, it's been going around that much, but congratulations whoever came up with that. We're talking a bit about these tariffs and whatnot later in the stream. There's been an international pushback against that, of course. Doc Davies, great to see you. Yes, Octo, it does look uncomfortable. Modern architecture, modern sculpture, I should say. Very artistic indeed. Okay, people. Yeah, please do make sure you hit thumbs up on the stream. Try and give us a boost on the algorithm. Thanks a lot for all of your support recently on the channel. Let's just get rid of Donald Pooh face there. Let's give a customary thank you to all the supporters here on my left eye. Yeah, I'm not sure if this gift membership issue has resolved itself. Hopefully we'll see. If you would like to join this list of incredible supporters, it's just 99 pence. Big thanks, solidarity shout out to everybody who's supported with gift memberships as well. Yeah, thanks as always for that. Great to see the community growing. I did make enquiries with Google support about this, so hopefully we won't have that issue anymore. Yeah, going to be quite a lot, well, a few, at least, clips of protests and whatnot. There's been a lot going on. Mostly over the weekend. Be bringing you up to speed with the protest during the week outside the Royal Courts of Justice. Remember that? There's a huge appeal at the moment. It could be very monumental if successful. 16 climate protesters appealing to have the sentences reduced or quashed. Let's get the chat window up first. There you are. Yeah, a few bits to get through. Good point there, Jacqueline. Yeah. He just won't flush. While this is supposed to be his final term, with it being, in fact, part of the amendment in America, that the president can only serve 2 terms. He's trying to push for a 3rd term. Yeah, hopefully he'll be unsuccessful. Oh, I'm liking the comments. Yeah, we'll get on with the comedy clip in just a moment or two. Whilst we just wait for a few more people to arrive. And we've got Jojo just jumped in. Nicely timed. Hope you're doing well. Great to see you again, Jojo. Happy Socialist Sunday. Okay, I think we're almost good to go. Just about got everything queued up. Right, yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with that, Jacqueline. Just going back to the 3rd term thing. It is more or less impossible. He does see himself as a king or a dictator. That's very evident. But that's not the way it works in the United States of America. As you rightly say, you'd have to get 2/3 approval in the House or the... yeah, it'd be in the Senate, I believe. He'll probably have a try. And, you know, fail disastrously. And then he's going to start blaming it on God knows what. I mean, just look at what he's done with the DEI in the case of the Washington aviation disaster. Just can't help himself. That's probably gonna come up during the stream. Actually, it does feature in one of the comedy clips I've got as well. And then after that, well, it's quite a way down the road. You know, this won't be for 4 years. We saw what happened when he lost fair and square last time. So if he's denied a 3rd term, don't be surprised if you see similar results. Yeah, we know what his crazy MAGA cults are like. I think that says cult, I'll just check my notes. Yep, it does. Yeah, it's quite complex, the US system. Very different to the one here in the UK. Won't get into the the ins and outs of that. Could be here all night. Right, let's get going with the comedy clip. It's another great video from Broken News. Been putting out some great stuff recently. And then we'll come back and we'll jump into Keith's Fondue Lounge. Of course, with it being a Sunday. So yeah, do give Larry and Paul a follow up. Broken News. This is the latest from them. Enjoy.
Welcome to Broken News. Leaked documents have uncovered one of the biggest political scandals in the history of the UK. They show how one political party was infiltrated to the highest levels. Our reporter has more.
Well, this is the most dramatic and well-lubricated infiltration of any political party since the Trotskys slipped Liverpool City Council a sneaky one in the 60s. And these leaked documents are hotter than Brad Pitt's bollocks on a barbecue. In this bad boy is a claim that Keir Starmer's Labour Party has been taken over by David Cameron's Conservative Party. Meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch's Conservative Party has been taken over by the monster-raving Looney Party, and no one's fussed about the Lib Dems. So on to Labour. Once the party of the working man, now the party of your racist nan. The organisation has splayed itself silly for these right-of-centre entryists, or centryists. And with that in mind, so many Labour policies now make sense. Policies like cutting the winter fuel allowance, keeping a two-child benefit cap, or somehow going from promising £28 billion for our green future to supporting a third runway at Heathrow. In 10 years, the environment might have collapsed like an asthmatic at an orgy, but we'll all have made a fiver. Great. There are other signs of this takeover in here. People who use Netflix and Disney are going to be asked to pay more for the BBC, a sort of stealth tax on the working classes, if you like. And of course, a left-wing Labour government would never do that. And a really telltale sign, the party banging on endlessly about economic growth without once mentioning Brexit. Could we use a different word to oxymoronically in the final paragraph? It is quite hard to say. And when you think about it, it's now obvious. Labour has become an oxymoronically pro-austerity left-wing government, which has, for some inexplicable reason, also decided to go softer than your dad's knob on non-doms. Back to you.
Thank you. Well, in the last few minutes, the Labour government's incredibly effective comms department has issued an addendum to their plan for perpetual growth. It reads, "Oh, by the way, that stuff we said before about Donald Trump before, we were like joking, and we think he's quite a nice fella with great hair who we'd absolutely happily let bathe and tuck in our sexy little granddaughter. And just to reiterate, we didn't mean what we said before about all the fascist stuff. Thanks. P.S. Economic growth." What a lovely story. That's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
Larry and Paul, Broken News. Do give them a follow. It was a bit strong at the end there, wasn't it? My goodness. do give them a follow on YouTube. Quite correct though. Tories in red rosettes, as we all know. Here on my left eye. While we're on that topic, let's dive over to the Fondue Lounge right now. So here we are, once more, in Keith's Fondue Lounge. Tuck in, everybody. Well, broken news mentioned in that clip about the third runway. That was something that we've discussed before on live streams, but there's been a lot of pushback against that. No one seems to be buying into Rachel Reeves's pitch there. About it immediately starting economic growth. That's without mentioning the CO2 targets, which of course would be wouldn't be met if that went ahead. A ridiculous idea, completely ridiculous. Even the mainstream media are cottoning onto this now. Always behind the times. Yeah, Jacqueline, I guess fondue is a bit of a middle class thing, but I guess you have to be middle class to get in Labour these days. Technically, by becoming a Member of Parliament, you do actually become a member of the upper class. And we can definitely see a few cases in Labour where they've abandoned the working class roots. But for the majority, including Keith of course, they do like to pretend that they came from the working class when they didn't. Humble son of a toolmaker, of course. Yeah, right. And later on in the stream, I've got a poll showing just how much people actually realise what Starmer's done to the Tory party. We can say change over and over and over again until we all get a nosebleed. But it's been more of the same, as we know, and this poll is pretty revelatory. Yeah, the picture is very 70s. Shout out to the Agitator, by the way, who put this scene together. Great stuff as always. Do give Agitate for Change a follow on social media as well. So that's the number 4, Agitate for Change. Yeah, a great guy. Also puts together some great clips, as you can see. Yeah, you're right there, Odin. Yep. They want to cosplay as the working class or self-made millionaires that only had to borrow $1 million or $2 from daddy. Trump always goes on about a small loan that he received when he was younger as well. 2 million was worth a lot more back then as well. Right, let's get into some other articles and such. We'll leave Keith there for now. Bye, Keith. Enjoy your middle class fondue. Okay, people, going to take a look at this protest from during the week at the Royal Courts of Justice first. There was a tremendous turnout of support, which we're going to see in a video in just a moment. I want to bring you up to speed, first of all, with a case that we mentioned in recent weeks. Gay de Lap, if that name rings a bell. She was jailed for her part in a Just Uphold protest that blocked the M25, but you'll remember there were issues with getting her fitted with a tag. They couldn't actually fit the tag onto her ankle, so she was re-imprisoned after being released, and that was just obviously absolutely ridiculous. But there's some good news. She's been released now from on-home detention after they managed to find an electronic tag that could fit. So she's from Bristol. She was sentenced to 20 months in jail for that original protest on the M25. She's 78 years old, Gay de Lap. The reason they couldn't fit her with a tag prior was because of a medical condition. But yeah, turns out if they can't find a tag, then people get put back in prison, even though it's no fault of their own. But that's good to know that she's out again. The detention curfew will last until the start of April, so not too long. I also mentioned on the last live stream some other good news as well. Anna Holland, who was one of the super throwers, the Van Gogh painting, has been released as well last week, or during the week I should say. But there is this ongoing appeal, as I said. The 16 still incarcerated, still imprisoned climate protesters making this appeal, which lasted for 2 days. And there was a tremendous amount of support. Over 1,000 people showed up outside the Royal Courts of Justice, basically to say that the sentencing is appallingly draconian. And in many cases they've received sentences larger than people who have done much more heinous things. So let's take a look. Need to give a shout out to Rankson for this this footage. That's a friend of mine who often join in London. in protest, so shout out to him. Do give him a follow as well at Revolting Hippie. So you see the great turnout here. Despite threats from the police to place some of the protesters under arrest, they held firm. There weren't actually any arrests as far as I know. Let's just take a look. No, at this one.
Home of the Royal Courts of Justice.
You can see people sitting in the road, holding placards. Brilliant turnout. So this is from the second day of the appeal during the week. Didn't manage to get down there myself, unfortunately. I was at work.
It's the A4, isn't it? It's not Imperial Road through London.
Once those conditions are put in place, you will then be told to exit from the road, and failure to comply with that may result in arrest. You could be prosecuted.
Yeah, thanks again to Ranksome for that footage. Great turnout. Great turnout. This is a very complicated case, as I said before, quite unprecedented. Not exactly sure how long we could be waiting for a result. Could be, unfortunately, quite a long time, even if successful. That would still mean people who are in prison waiting some months until they find out the result of this appeal. Between now and then, though, of course, we'll keep our fingers crossed and continue to show support and solidarity for those protesters who were wrongfully imprisoned in many cases and certainly given far too lengthy a sentence. Yes, Octo, they're just following orders, aren't they? They're just following orders. We know another group of people who used to just follow orders and wanted to get away with it. Absolutely. You're quite correct there as well. Odin, they always come down hard on anti-war people and protesters, environmental protesters as well. In this case, I'm certain that many of the people there in the crowd will be familiar with protest and have probably been arrested at protests themselves before. So those 16 do, of course, include record sentences, such as 5 years in Roger Hallam's case. He's the co-founder of Extinction Rebellion, as well as Just Stop Oil and Humanity Project, which is all about citizens' assemblies, trying to arrange and organise citizens' assemblies. Because if the government aren't representing you, people have got to come together and do it for themselves. We knew what Starmer's remit was going to be before he got into office. Well, those of us who did know, that is. Turns out a few people have realised that now, but unfortunately, after the fact, that is, after electing him, thinking that they were going to get a change from Tory austerity. Evening, Kira. Great to see you in the chat as well. And yeah, the long sentences for actions probably don't even add up to a misdemeanour. They're carried out with good intentions, and it is absolutely disgusting. Yes, in a lot of the cases there was some disruption, such as with the M25, for example, but you're talking about a very brief amount of disruption, whatever it is. There's never any permanent damage or anything. That's where the cultural actions are concerned. You can remember groups like JSO have had some controversial targets, shall we say, in the past. Stonehenge, for example, sporting events, this kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's just a bit of cornstarch that washes off. And you can take that from someone who has actually been involved in a spraying action and was convicted. Yeah. And obviously I can see past all of the BS that people like Richard Madeley and Piers Morgan put out about endangering people's lives with these protests and so on and so forth. Which isn't true. Of course, that wasn't the only protest taking part this week. There were quite a few other ones. Let's get on to this far-right march and the counter-march, or Antifa march. Well, let's not get into arguments about definitions or whatever. Counter-protesters. We'll just use as a broad term for now, I guess. So that was that was yesterday. Again down in London, and a huge turnout, which in terms of the counter-protesters massively outnumbered the far right, who had their England flags and their Israel flags, of course. One of the many ironies there within the far right is that there is actually a lot of genuine anti-Semitism within the far right, as we know, and always has been historically. These guys are a bunch of racists. Yet Israel claims to be a Jewish state, air quotes, although we all know the distinction between Judaism and Zionism here on My Left Eye, of course, even though that's something that the mainstream media might not acknowledge, many politicians don't acknowledge, but we know. So the irony being that, obviously, with there being so many racists, which will include anti-Semites in the far right, that they're prepared to support Israel. But don't expect any sense or logic from these kind of people. And if you don't think that a lot of these far right people are backing Zionist Israel, they'll just casually inform you that the first speech that was made at this demonstration from the far right was all about Zionism and all about Israel. At the same time, they're also protesting against the incarceration of Stephen Yaxley Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson, to his supporters, who I'm sure you'll be familiar with. People. Quite rightly incarcerated for contempt of court. But they'll think he's some sort of victim of the system. They don't know too much about the law, but they don't know too much about much else either. Let's have a look at some of the footage then from this great turnout. I believe there was somewhere between 35 and 50,000. That's the range in estimates for the crowd size of counter-protesters, so let's take a look. I've had to mute the audio, unfortunately. There was some music on this, I'm not sure if it's copyright. Could be a copyright issue. So I'm just sticking with normal background music now there, but you can see lots of organisations coming together, individuals, so on and so forth, to stand up to racism. Of course, it's not just racism you get on the far right, it's misogyny, homophobia, all of the worst elements of society neatly contained. And they do have to be held back, because with the neoliberals that have been representing us for so long, unfortunately seen a rise in the far right, because those in power or wanting power have tried to do more to suppress the left than they have the far right. This is what's happened. This is why people have to take to the streets themselves, stand up to the likes of Farage and Tice, Yaxley Lemon over here in the UK, and obviously in the United States, people like Donald Trump, JD Vance, Elon Musk, and all the rest of the right-wing show over there. That's right, Odin. If protest wasn't offensive, they wouldn't seek to ban it, as they are doing now with things like the public order bill that we've talked about quite a lot on the channel before. So please do everything that you can, people. If one of these protests is in a town or city near you, please do your utmost to get down there. I'll just play this again as we continue to chat. But as I said, and as it's happening now, as happened in the past, fortunately, the turnout against people from the far right has been a lot larger than the support. But politically, the scary thing is, especially what we've seen in recent polls, unfortunately, it looks like there's more support from the far right politically than we should like, with recent polls even suggesting that reform would get the most amount of votes in the UK election. That's a really scary concept.
You alright? Nick, handstand pop music, I think, oh no.
So yeah, we absolutely all have to stand up to that. If you were down at any of these demos, please do let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching back on replay. Great as always to know your thoughts and experiences where protests concerned. Protesters, demonstrators always welcome here on Live Die in the fight against the right. So well done to everybody there. And yeah, like I just said, it's because certain politicians, including current Prime Minister Keir Starmer, have done more to suppress socialists and the left, then they have the far right. It was only weeks ago we saw him bounding over to the other side of the chamber in the House of Commons to greet Nigel Farage with a smile and a pat on the back. This is a man who doesn't even acknowledge some of his own members of Parliament, or former members of Parliament who have had the whip removed. We talk about the likes of Zara Sultana, Jeremy Corbyn, and so on. So he's got a lot of time for Farage, but not even for people who are supposed to be on the same side as him. Very telling, very telling. And someone who is indifferent to Keir Starmer, arguably even more than I am, is a great comedian, Alexei Sale, who appeared at a demonstration over the weekend. And this is a great bit from him. He's repeating a poem that I think he read out on his radio show. He's got a radio show on BBC Radio 4, and it's called Why I Hate Keir Starmer. So we're going to take a look at that. And this is also, should say as well, part of the campaign to support Andrew Feinstein, who stands in the same constituency as Starmer himself, Holborn St Pancras, not St Pancreas, as I once misspelt on the channel. And he put in a really good campaign. In fact, Starmer won the least amount of votes that he's had since he was standing in the seat. He first stood there way back in 2015. Obviously, his greatest successes came under Jeremy Corbyn. And now that he's gone it alone, people haven't exactly responded. So hopefully, Andrew Feinstein can carry on off the back of that and be successful come the next general election, which may seem like it's so far down the road. So yeah, this is Alexei Sale. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. He broke out during the 1980s with alternative comedy and The Young Ones and things like that. He had his own show on the BBC as well, I believe. Well worth checking out, and it's currently got a slot on BBC Radio 4. So let's hear from Alexei.
We have a national treasure with us today, Alexei Sale.
Thank you. Andrew thanked me for coming. I said it's literally 100 yards. So I have not made an enormous sacrifice to do this, but I am very excited to be supporting his campaign, part of it, and it is the one. I think we often feel hopeless. I think the one hope for the future is these campaigns of independents like Andrews and Leah Mohammed's and Faisal Sheen. So anyway, I'm not going to detain you long. I'm just going to read my poem now, my slam poem first featured in my Radio 4 series Excel's Imaginary Sandwich Bar, which is coming back next year. This is my slam poem. Amazing that Radio 4 allowed me to broadcast it. I don't know why they still let me on. My wife thinks it's just so they can they can say, well, at least we have him on when accused of being the state broadcaster. So this is my slam poem from my Radio 4 series, and it's called I Hate Keir Starmer. I think I was kind of ahead of the game there. I think the entire world knows what a little shitbag he is now. I got there first. So, I hate Keir Starmer. I hate him aesthetically. I hate his fussy little too perfect, just shy of Nazi officer haircut. I hate his Prime Minister from Central casting face, which initially seemed designed by committee, but increasingly suffers from having an expression slapped on it like he's desperately trying to explain away his role in a sex scandal at the dog pound he runs. I hate his pedantic little voice, which makes everything he says sound like an HR meeting you don't really need to be at. Starmer is a small man, physically short, yes, but that's not really notable, except as a symbol of the immense spiritual shortness that it signifies. He is aesthetically petty and dull, a piece of hotel art made man. I hate Keir Starmer. I hate him ethically. I hate the way that Starmer poses as an honest man, then casually breaks every pledge he made to the Labour membership before they elected him leader. I hate that he's a liar. He's at it. Plainly, what he is good at is being a coward. I hate Keir Starmer because what we all need is the possibility of actually doing something. Concrete action that might actually make the world a better place, and Keir Starmer is a fatbag blocking this possibility. I hate Keir Starmer like a malfunctioning bus stop sign that keeps telling me my bus is about to show up, but it never does. I hate Keir Starmer because he's been imposed on me, whether I like it or not. He only seemed barely mediocre up against Liz Truss, a blustering idiot who seemed to have gotten lost on the way to filming a series of The Apprentice and accidentally ended up being appointed Prime Minister. He makes Rishi Sunak, Rishi Starmer. Anyway, and Starmer will not go away unless he loses the next election. But even if he was replaced, one suspects his wing of the Labour Party will conspire to put Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting in charge instead. Someone who looks like Starmer's son, who he made out of margarine. I hate Starmer wrong in that. I hate Keir Starmer, but I don't want to hate Keir Starmer. What we need is a world in which nobody hates him, because nobody has to think about him at all. And the way to do that is to elect Andrew Feinstein!
Absolutely well said there, Alexis Sale. He'll be running again at the next election. That is Andrew Feinstein. And of course, my left eye be right behind him, as we will with other independents that Alexei named at the start of the clip there. Liam Mohammed, being the one who's just behind Wes Streeting. So great stuff, great stuff. Always do like a bit of Alexis Sale. Yeah, Jacqueline. Keith is a disgrace. And a criminal, as you point out there, Octo. So Starmer's poor performance so far, I should say, has been reflected across the polls. We've been keeping up to speed with those here on My Left Eye. They're not an exact science, of course. I do always take them with a pinch of salt. But a lot of them do turn out to be very accurate. And this is one of the latest ones now. So the question put out was, depending on how people voted at the last election, whether they think that we have had change. Don't know if you've heard Keith mention the word change before. Or whether it's just more of the same. So let's take, I mean, this is absolutely, this is... Well, for a start, it's not the right size. Let's just move that over there. Look at this. Even from within people who voted Labour. So overall, 66% say it's more of the same, 34% say genuinely different. But the majority, albeit a slim majority of those polled who voted for Labour, 52 to 48%, say it's more of the same. Well, you got fished in, didn't you? Duped? Duped much? Yes, absolutely. Hook, line and sinker. We tried to tell them. We tried to tell them. There should be more Greens in the House of Commons, as well as socialist independents and grassroots parties. That's the way that we should be going. Even the Tories, people who voted for the Tories even know that Keith's a Tory himself, 55 to 45%. Reform 67 to 33, Lib Dem as well, the majority, 54 to 46, and of course, massive percentage of those who voted for the Greens acknowledging that it's just more of the same. I would imagine that's why they sensibly voted for the Green Party, 81% to 19%. But it's too late now. We needed people to realise this before the last election, before July the 4th, 2024. So that's a shocking condemnation. Absolutely. That's from Stats for Lefties, by the way. And it's a more in common survey taking place between the 25th and 27th of January last week. But all across the board, doesn't matter where people voted, they all know it's more of the same. I've got another light-hearted clip here that sort of highlights that. It's a little video, the latest one from Noreen Skinner. A great impressionist, and another great example of Noreen Skinner's talents here. So this is comparing Rachel Reeves, the current Chancellor, to Liv Truss. Yeah, you really can't put anything between them, can you?
Hello, I'm Rachel Reeves. Our mission is growth. We want to action growth in the UK and bring growth to the economy, meaning you can bring growth into your garden to grow your bush, making it bigger and stronger. Then you can spread your bush around and everyone will want a piece of your growing bush. Growth.
And what I'm about is growth, growth, growth!
I have some new information to share with you. Things are tricky in this country because of the last government and the £22 billion black hole they put us in.
Was the economic disaster your fault?
No.
Whose was it? The OBR, the deep state, the woke people, Blairites, Brownites, the transgender mafia, Labour, Lettuce, Andrew Bailey, Cilla Black, and this week I'll be adding in academics.
I can confirm today that we as a government want to achieve net zero and look after the environment. That is why we'll be building a third runway at Heathrow Airport. Good, clean energy.
What's happening with fracking? How do you know it's safe? There have been earthquakes and sinkholes.
I don't accept the premise of this question. It is perfectly safe.
The main reason for building a third runway is to help with exports of salmon and whiskey. Yummy.
Roquefort, Blue Stilton. Oh, that's Gouda. Pork markets.
Anyone that doesn't like salmon and whiskey is a disgrace. Goodbye.
Thanks, Noreen Skinner. Great stuff there. Check her out. Available on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Noreen Skinner. Marvellous. Bang on the money. And bang to rights as well. Speaking of social media, do give my left eye a follow on Blue Sky, Mastodon. Still also available on Twitter. Always Twitter, never X. For now. Just hopefully building up the numbers on Blue Sky and Mastodon before we part ways on Elon Musk's batshit crazy platform. I do think Liz Truss pretended she was an economic expert, the same as Rachel from Accounts does. They're both equally clueless. We saw her, that is Rachel Reeves, recently on TV trying to make the economy household budget comparison, which has been debunked so many times by actual economists. She doesn't know an arsehole from her ear hole or elbow. Andy Carter, great to see you. Don't worry about joining late, you can always catch up, brother. So you're having a bit of trouble with the predictive text there, Octo. I assume you mean a shirt there, Odin. You wouldn't trust her to iron a shirt. Yeah, I wouldn't trust her to be able to open a tin of corned beef in one go, even if her life depended on it. I just want to show you a quick clip now from the recent Manchester protest that was on Saturday in support of Palestine before we move on to issues across the pond in the United States. Really good turnout, as always. I just saw this clip going around, so I want to share this with you. My pal Foot, great to see you back again. Right, this is the latest from Manchester. So this is just, for anyone who's familiar with Manchester, you can see they're close to one of the Manchester Metropolitan University buildings. Dropping signs. Again, there was what might be copyrighted music over the top, so apologies, I'm not playing the music that's on the track. But you can see from the surrounding dual carriageways and other footage there, great turnout. Just a brief clip that, wanted to throw you that way. Of course, we always do show support for Palestine here in Manchester. Just get this bookmark lined up. We'll go over to issues in the US. Just a couple of updates on these tariffs, this tariff war that Trump's trying to start. That is with his neighbouring, bordering countries to the north and south, Canada and Mexico respectively. Just get this queued up. Apologies. Knocked off the chat there. There we go. there's been a lot of pushback against this and some of Trump's other executive orders already, but where the tariffs are concerned, he's stuck a 25% levy, essentially, on goods into Canada and Mexico. Well, Justin Trudeau isn't just going to take that line down. Let's see what's happening, people. He's encouraged people in Canada to stop buying US products, of course, and in response to the 25% tariff on goods, he's announced a 25% tariff on US goods. So just mirroring Donald Trump's action. Similar to the immigration issue as well. Trump sought to put a lot of Colombian citizens onto planes, take them back, but they were refused. They didn't let the planes land. And then the Colombian president came out and pointed out how many US citizens are living illegally in their country, and speculated whether he should take similar action. And sports fans have responded with booing at an international hockey game between Canada and the United States, booing during the national anthem, as it was played ahead of a game between the Ottawa Senators and visiting... sorry, it wasn't an international match. It was between the Ottawa Senators and the Minnesota Wild. That was last night, just a few hours after Trump's announcement. And then on to Mexico. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum categorically rejected Trump's accusation, and he's making associations between Mexican drug traffickers and the Mexican government, which they've said is essentially slanderous, which it is. Just one moment, need to put the music back in. You can't just continue to go and do things and say things without facing the consequences. So I'll just read out a bit from this here. Trump's characterisation of the Mexican government as narco alley, that's a quote, has revived the debate in Mexico over security policies. It also made the country question whether the government is doing enough to crack down on the cartels and root out cartel-related corruption. Some commentators argued that Sheinbaum's administration should seize the opportunity to declare all-out war on the cartels, working with the United States. Others saw Trump's tariffs as part of a wider strategy by him to, quote, contain China from Mexico, end quote, seeking to put a brake on China's growing investment and presence in Mexico and to halt the supply of Chinese precursor chemicals for fentanyl production by the Mexican cartels. The debates in Mexico, triggered by Trump's move, also raged on social media. While many agreed that all sides stood to lose from a tariff war, there were also calls for a boycott by Mexicans of US brands, goods and companies. But it's ludicrous, yeah, this isn't going to be the quick solution to America's economic problems that Trump thinks it is. So it says, historically, that is Canada, been a strong ally to the United States, and there's been a free trade agreement in place since 1994. During Trump's first term in office, he put 10% tariffs on Canadian aluminium products and 25% tariffs on Canadian steel, citing national security concerns. Ottawa retaliated by imposing tariffs on selected goods, which were chosen to send a political message to Trump and his allies. For example, it put levies on Florida orange juice and whiskey and bourbon from Tennessee and Kentucky, the latter being the home of then Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell. Both countries ended up agreeing to lift the tariffs a year later. Wine, chocolate and cheese among the products there as well. As well as some meats like poultry, dried or smoked meat, sausages, dairy products, fruit and vegetables, and drinks, including coffee, tea, fruit juice and wine. The former leader of Canada's Liberal Party has said that the imposition of tariffs from her close neighbour America upends the crucial economic relationship that governs every job in the country, which is a good point. Just got another article. I won't read through all of this. Something else I want to just quickly pull up before we move on. I just finished with Keith's 2 cents on the matter. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Sausages! Oh, excuse me, people. Where were we? We can now bring you some fresh... It says the article. For what it's worth. For what anything that comes out of his mouth is worth. He says he wants to see strong trading relations with the United States. Speaking to reporters from his official country residence, he adds, in the discussions he's had with President Trump, they've centred on those strong trading relationships. No mention of this feud between the US and Canada and Mexico, respectively. He's just basically used that as a chance to kiss Trump's arse even more, like they pointed out in the broken news clip earlier on in the stream. They've gone from condemning him in the strongest possible terms to licking his boots. Just get this other article queued up as well. So that's the latest on that, but also there's been a report about his buddy Musk. It was only a matter of time before Elon Musk would come up on a live stream, of course. Now remember, Elon Musk isn't elected. He's been put in charge of this government department, Department of Government Expenditure, or DOGE. But it turns out that he's been given access to sensitive federal payment system. So his deputies have had access to the payment systems that control the flow of trillions of dollars in government funds every year, the US media has reported. And they suggest incoming Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has granted access to members of DOGE, which is not a government department but a team within the administration. Very important to note that. They've got access to sensitive personal information of millions of Americans, and the division handles payments of nearly $6 trillion for programs like Social Security, and it pays government salaries and distributes money allotted by Congress as well. The White House haven't responded. The access to the payment system was granted on Friday, the same day when a long-time Treasury official named David Lebrick was put on administrative leave and suddenly retired. The report from the New York Times suggests. Cash for access, people. Cash for access. That's what this is. He's put $100 million into Trump's campaign, and now he's expecting to be able to siphon billions of public money again. Let's remember that whilst Trump has been running Tesla, it survived purely on government subsidies. That is public money. So it says, typically only a handful of Treasury employees work on the payment system. And quote says, to put it bluntly, these payment systems simply cannot fail, and any politically motivated meddling in them risks severe damage to our country and the economy. Now that'll be particularly worrying for anybody in America, because anything that Trump puts his hands on, Musk puts his hands on, just absolutely turns to manure. I can also see this being as a move to try and strip Social Security and other benefits away from people, well, specifically diverse people. Cash for access, cash for access. That's what's happening. The dystopia continues, people. Spinning Vinyl, thanks for joining us in the chat. A good point about Keith Starmer, yeah. Voted him because, well, he thinks that he was voted in because we love his suits. Nope. Shocking. What a time to be alive, people. What a time to be alive. There's been the furore as well, of course, over his comments following that aviation disaster, which I mentioned earlier. That's the helicopter colliding with a passenger jet. Unfortunately, there were no survivors. Very tragic case. But even before the investigation began, Trump was making ridiculous speculation about the cause of it, which he simply shouldn't have done. And I found a clip that sums it up completely, perfectly, and in a comedic fashion as well. So this is the latest from a great comedian. I'm sure I've featured him before on live streams, but not for a while actually. And he certainly won't be short of content over the next 4 years. This is the fantastic Michael Spicer with The Room Next Door. If you're not familiar, do check him out as well.
The massive search and rescue mission was underway throughout the night, leveraging every asset at our disposal.
Yep, that's it. Just keep to the facts. Just tell them the facts.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions.
No, we don't. We don't have opinions. Not now, just facts.
And I think we'll probably state those opinions now.
No, we won't.
I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary.
What does that mean?
You remember that?
No, no one does.
But I do want to point out that...
Oh no. What are you doing?
Various articles that appeared prior to my entering office.
If you're talking about that one article by Fox News, can you just put it away?
and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
You're talking about an initiative which began back in 2019 to recruit people with targeted disabilities for a career in air traffic operations, which Fox News decided to turn into a misleading article for clicks during the Biden administration. And by the way, cast your mind back to 2019. Who was president then? I'll give you a clue. The colour of his skin is the same as his tie.
This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office.
No, it was January 14th, 2024, actually, but it doesn't matter because everything you've said up to this point has been a complete lie anyway, so just make up the date. Why not make up a brand new date? How about that? What about March Tobury the 50 plinth?
Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration.
There isn't another article, it's just that Fox News article. Where's this article coming from?
The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities.
This is the same Fox News article that you're reading from. You're just reading a different bit of it. Can someone explain paragraphs to him?
They include hearing, vision, missing extremities.
This is just their general diversity policy.
Partial paralysis.
It's just their general diversity policy.
Complete paralysis, epilepsy.
It's just a general diversity policy across all operations. It's got nothing to do with the specifics of air traffic
which is overseen
control.
by Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Oh no.
He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor.
Can we just skip the insults? Because I've got something in my slow cooker.
And he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
The plane only crashed 12 hours ago. Do you really think mudslinging is appropriate at this time? You know, just on a scale of 1 to disgusting.
Should not have happened. Please, sir.
What? Who's this?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership.
Oh, here we go, the bearded dog whistle.
But I just want to re-emphasize something the President said.
Yeah, absolutely, why not? I really want to hear everything said all over again, but this time by a baby Nazi with a crayon beard.
If you go back to just some of the headlines over the past 10 years...
What headlines?
You have many hundreds of people...
What people?
...suing the government because they would like to be air traffic controllers, but they were turned away because of the color of their skin.
Okay, how about an example? Just let's hear an example. Just one example.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, he's gone. Okay, well, that was a completely necessary interjection directly after a plane crash where nothing has been proven yet. Thanks for that, Cabbage Patch Satan.
I've had the honor of hearing tapes. Tapes are scary, very scary tapes. He's coming in the path, and for some reason, he had a helicopter.
You don't need to describe all this.
And going at an angle that was...
That was what?
Unbelievably bad.
Oh, I see.
You had a helicopter that had the ability to stop. I have helicopters.
Please don't brag about having helicopters during a national tragedy. I mean, I don't know why I should have to say that, but...
It had the ability to go up or down. It had the ability to turn.
Yes, we know what helicopters can do.
And the turn it made was not the correct turn, obviously.
This is certainly clearing up a lot of things. So.
You could have slowed down the helicopter substantially. You could have stopped the helicopter.
You've said all this.
You could have gone up. You could have gone down.
Said all this.
And you could have gone straight up, straight down.
You've said it again.
You could have turned. You could have done a million different maneuvers.
I see. Could you name them all? Because, you know, I'm having the time of my life here.
They shouldn't have been at the same height. Because if it wasn't the same height...
Do tell.
You could have gone under it or over it.
Me, really?
Some really bad things happened.
Did they?
And some things happened that shouldn't have happened. So you had a helicopter going in an identical direction. You had a helicopter that was at the exact same height as somebody going in essentially the opposite direction.
Fabulous, fabulous. Great to see Michael Spicer back. Unfortunately, not for the right circumstances, of course. And great to see The Room Next Door coming back as a feature. Michael Spicer, though, do check him out. Just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't he? clueless. Clueless. The investigation is still going on at the moment. One of the main theories is that it was simply due to understaffing, not the specifics of who was and wasn't on the staff, what the colour of their skin might be, their ethnicity, the sexual orientation, whether they identify as male or female, whatever it is that Trump and Vance are trying to imply. Certainly doesn't seem to be the case. But Trump never lets the truth get in the way of an unfounded accusation, does he? Good point though, Jacqueline. I also wonder what the DI policy is on old orange men who are way past their sell-by date. Would you feel confident if you happen to be on a plane taking off or landing knowing that Donald Trump was in charge of the air traffic control? I can't say that I'd be entirely confident, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, they, thems and comrades alike. Okay, people, I'll be bring the stream to a close shortly. Please do hang around though. We're going to be redirecting or raiding into another channel. I'm just going to see who's available, who's live at the moment. While I do that, please do make sure you've hit the thumbs up button on the stream. Please feel free to give us a share across social media and stuff as well. And while I do that, I'll just give another shout out to all the fantastic members on the channel. You'll just forgive me for removing the chat so that we can see everybody's names. Thanks to every single one of you. Thanks to people who've gifted memberships recently as well. Solidarity for all of your support. Great comrades. The Brew Crew. Okay, let's see who's live. Just a final reminder as well, if you want to join this list of supporters on the channel, just 99 pence. Way cheaper than even the price of a tasty hot beverage. Has Helena just started? Okay, I'll just try and have a look. Just bear with people. On a slight, there we go. Okay, let's see who's around. It's just running a little slow. There we go. We do have Helena at No Justice. Great stuff. I'll join you over there for a bit after the stream ends, so please do stick around, people. Let's get you back up in the chat there. As we just say our goodbyes. More content to come next week, of course. Brews at 10. Live streams as well as other videos. Please hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss out on content on the channel. Yeah, just a final point on that aviation disaster. That's a good point there, Martin. It does seem weird that the odds of a terrible plane crash featuring DEI applicants occurs just after the Orange Fuhrer takes over. Blinky, great to see you as well. We're just about to go over and join Helena at No Justice. That is, do a redirect, a raid into Helena's stream. If you're joining us late, please do feel free to catch up with the rest of the stream. Yeah, so that'll be it from me, people. Take care until I see you next time. Just check we're all set up to raid into Helena. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, people. My Left, I'll be seeing you soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.